it's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvellous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
Hello and welcome back to Generation Skywalker. This is Dan and I'm flying solo this evening, but rest assured the other hosts do feature in this episode. This episode features interviews the team conducted at the Farthest From Christmas meal in December 2024 with 3 very special guests. Recorded in front of a live audience, the team interviewed Brian Hickey, probably best known in Star Wars circles for his Instagram page and for his work with Palitoy legend Bob Breakin on the book My Palitoy Story. Somma from GW Acrylic then joins us on stage, who, as well as talking acrylic, provides some rare insight about his own collection. And finally, we have the Director of Product Development at Hasbro, Steve Evans, in Fordingbridge. But it really was a great evening, and on behalf of the rest of the team, I would like to say a massive thank you to Dave Tree again for trusting us to host the evening and for the opportunity of interviewing these amazing guests. And if you want to hear the team talk more about what else went on at the evening, take a listen to our recent episode, There Has Been an Awakening, where we cover all of that. But without further ado, let's get into the first interview, which is Brian, who, as well as talking My Palitoy Story, Instagram and Action Force, shares some exclusive news on the new Star Wars related project he is working on.
I've been to Fordingbridge a few times and maybe roll out roll call events, but the Farthest From experience has been fantastic so far, so really happy. Great to be here.
Excellent. So for anyone who hasn't had a chance to meet you today, what have you been up to?
Well, I suppose I've been known in the Star Wars community for my Star Wars photography, and I've recreated all of the original trilogy movies with the vintage toys, which is up on my Instagram account, and it's also up on my website, totaltoybooks.com. And then that kind of journey led me into working on books about vintage toys. So I've done books about, I know we'll touch on them in a bit, but Action Force and I've worked with Bob Breakin and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the whirlwind background.
So talking of Bob, so I've got from when you came on the show 18 months ago,
Yes.
the show art. So how did that end up? So when you came on, you were in the process of the Kickstarter and that was all going on. I think it was coming to the end when you came on.
It was coming to the end, and we still had a ways to go. And the Kickstarter was a real nail biter of a finish on that Kickstarter. So we had, I think our funding goal was maybe 45 grand, and on the last day, pledges just started to pile in, and because it came right down to the wire, we got it over the line, and with maybe an hour to go, we had our funding goal, which was great.
Yeah.
Because this was a very special project for Bob. I mean, Bob, many of you guys have probably met Bob. I'm sure he did it. He attended a Farthest From in the past, and he was really active on the convention scene, not just for Star Wars, but also for Action Man, Action Force, and on the girls' toy side of things. Like he's been to Tressie conventions, Pippa conventions, because these are all toy lines that he worked on, and over the course of all that time, on the road and meeting fans and doing all these presentations, he started to compile this incredible history of Palitoy. And he really went deep on the research for this book. It's 10 years of his life kind of putting this together. So when he approached me and asked me to help him, to design the book and to help get it out there, that was a real honor, for him to have that kind of trust in, something that he didn't really know that well. But we made it happen, and it was a great journey to be part of. Even though my role was a very small role, compared to what Bob's had. So
it's a quality book. I've read through it, and it's excellent. I think it's award winning. Is that right?
It did actually. It won an Irish Print Award. So we put it into the printer who printed it submitted it to the Irish Print Awards, and in the design and print collaboration category, and it picked up a silver award in that. So we're pretty chuffed about that.
No, it's really it's perfect. And if anyone picked it up yet, you've got some copies here this weekend that you've been.
We do, yes, we do. So we brought about 10 copies over, and there's a few left that we'll bring onto the floor tomorrow for the last day.
Excellent. And what was Bob's reaction to all that? Obviously, he's been through it. All, he's lived it all, and to see it finally published, how was that when he finally first got his hands on the copy of the book?
He was really chuffed, really chuffed. I mean, I'd nearly say it was an emotional experience for the two of us. To get it finished. But myself and Bob travelled to America earlier this year. We were over there in June.
Yeah.
We were invited over as guests of Skeletron and to attend the Joe Fest convention.
Yeah.
And Bob brought some of his books over there as well to sell that completely sold out.
Brilliant.
All the books that he brought over, and the reaction from the American fans, which I told this to a few people today, like when we see Bob do a presentation here, we're so polite. We listen attentively, and when he's finished, we give him a little polite round of applause. But the American audience, they're on their feet, they were fist pump in the air, they put a red shadow up on the screen, wow, they go crazy. But when he was finished, they gave him a standing ovation. I'm really getting emotional thinking about it. But he was really moved by the reaction from the Americans. So that was lovely to see that.
That's excellent. He's lovely. He's a lovely bloke, and when we had him, he was great, and we've had pleasure meeting him a few times now. So that's fantastic. So in terms of your other work then, so I know obviously we're here to talk about Star Wars, but obviously you've done a lot of work in Action Force, and I know we're going to lead on to some other things that are connected to that in a second, but do you want to just talk us through some of the work you've done on Action Force?
These are some of the first books that I ever produced. I worked with a couple of mates of mine, a guy called Pat and David MacDonald.
Yeah.
David is very much immersed in the comics history, Paddy's very much immersed in the toy history, and how this came about was I wanted to be able to take a toy line that I loved and really tell the proper story, or the most detailed story that we could tell about its history. I was aware that, say, you take like GI Joe, for example, in America, they all know who Larry Hama is from the comics. They know who Buzz Dixon is from the cartoon show. They know who Kirk Bozigian is from the marketing side of it. But over here, people only really knew Bob Regan. They didn't know any of the other substantial amount of people that were involved in creating Action Force. Right. So these books were an effort to kind of spotlight not just Bob for his massive contribution, but all the other people that worked with Bob, like Brian Turner, who we acknowledged was passing earlier today. Yeah. And on the comic side of it, guys like Jerry Finley Day, like a giant in the British comic scene in the 70s and 80s, they're all huge contributors to Action Force. So in these books, we tried to kind of spotlight these guys, tell a really big story about the toy line, and to fill it full of amazing diorama photos and just great photos of the products themselves. So it's my way of trying to preserve the legacy of Action Force.
Yeah.
And it was actually, these projects are the ones where, because I got to interview Bob Breakin directly, it was these books that kind of led to me working with him on his book then.
Yeah. So that, obviously, with Action Force, that's something, I mean, I don't know who collected Action Force when I was a kid here. Quite a few. I know Dave's a big fan. I wish I had my little sound effect, from the show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Action Man.
Yeah, from Palitoy. So obviously it's all Palitoy focused what you're doing. So what was your fandom of Star Wars like growing up in that sphere of Palitoy and British toys?
I mean, Star Wars was huge for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably the earliest toys I remember would have been like Airfix, our soldiers, the 1/32 scale soldiers. Yeah. Action Man was obviously a big part of what my childhood growing up. But it was one day in school, one of the guys in my class brought in the Imperial Troop Transporter and a bunch of stormtroopers. And even though I'd seen the Star Wars movies, I didn't know Star Wars toys existed. That was my introduction to the toys, and I was hooked after that. So the very first figure I got was a Han Solo and a Hoth Battle Gear. And my kind of modest Star Wars collection as a kid kind of started there. Yeah. It all sadly went in a big dumpster when I went off to college, thanks to my parents moving house.
There's quite a few people who've got stories like that. Yeah. But that obviously comes full circle then when we talk about the Total Action Force and your next project. Do you want to announce it, or do you want me to go straight onto the
I'll go straight on this slide, yeah. So this, again, I've got to give big credit to Bob Breakin for this next project that we're working on. So the working title is Total Star Wars, the Palitoy Saga. So like with Total Action Force, the battle years, trying to keep that kind of title consistent so it looks like a series of books. But it's to take, say, the work that Bob started with My Palitoy Story, where he obviously goes pretty deep on the Star Wars history and how it influenced Palitoy. And in this book, we want to take it even deeper again. And it's dedicated entirely to Palitoy's connection to Star Wars. Looking at the toys, looking at the marketing around the toys, but also looking at the pre-production element of that too. And then Palitoy had a huge role, in terms of it had responsibility for all of Europe. Things like the Troy logo cards, that all originated from kind of Palitoy sort of marketing thinking. So it's a huge story to tell. Bob gives it a good go in his book, but he's covering so many other brands. He can only give it so much kind of real estate in the book. So we want to try working again with Paddy Lennon from Total Action Force, and David MacDonald then is going to join us on the Marvel Comics history, which we'll be looking to include in this book as well. So the Marvel UK, as you're all aware, they reprinted a lot of the material that came out that was produced in America for the Star Wars comic, but there was loads of original content created by Marvel UK for the weekly comics. So guys like John Higgins and Paul Neary contributed loads of original art to that, and even on the writing side of it too, there was new material created for that too. So we want to spotlight those creators on the comic side, as well as on the toy making and toy marketing side of it too. So just like it's following the Total Action Force formula, and we're doing it for Star Wars this time.
We've been talking about it. I mean, Jez mentioned at the top, we're at celebrations, at toy shows, and we talk, who's going to do the Palitoy book? And it looks like it's going to be you. So we was talking about it a few months ago, Dave, and it's like, who's going to do it? Your name was in the frame for a bit, but you weren't having it. But it's great. I'm really excited for it. And hopefully you've met some people today who know a lot.
Myself and Dave are long overdue doing a book together, so one of these days I'll twist his arm.
So what's going to be the way you're going to do that? Is it going to be a Kickstarter again, or are you going to publish it?
The plan would be to bring this one to Kickstarter.
Okay.
So we've done a lot of research already, and we've interviewed a lot of people, and we're still in this kind of gathering phase and kind of pulling all the information together. It's a pretty ambitious project in terms of the scope of what we want to achieve. But the plan is to launch a Kickstarter early next year, and we'll have all of our financials kind of planned out. We'll know what our funding goal is, before that. But we'll have a number of stretch goals built in as well, which will include like additional content, maybe different finishes on the book. And even looking at a possible kind of slipcase, to wrap it all up in.
Sounds very collectible.
It's very collectible, yes.
Wonderful. I can't wait for that. Make sure you tell us when that's coming and you come on the show and talk to us about it.
I've got a panel tomorrow, so I'll be revealing a bit more information then.
Excellent. And you mentioned as well about obviously your Star Wars on your Instagram as well. Where can people find you and come and see all that stuff?
Instagram.com/Brian the Hick. You'll find, you just go through the feed, you'll find all of those photos there. But really the best place to see them, if you want to read them digitally in the order that they would have happened in movies, is go to totaltoybooks.com, and on that homepage, just scroll down a bit, you'll find a link which will bring you into the reader, and you can read not just through the images, but there's a little introduction in there as well. It tells the whole story from concept right through to the finished products. And I have to give a shout out to Dave Tree as well, because as I say in the introduction to this book, Dave was the very first person that I broached the idea with. And when I explained it to him, he totally got what I was trying to do. Just vintage figures, simple dioramas, like the kind of dioramas that my 10-year-old self would have been able to make. Well, sometimes with the help of the robot.
So for anyone who hasn't seen it, it is effectively a shot-for-shot remake of Star Wars using action figures. It's superb. It's really cool. I love it. I was looking at it the other day. It is excellent. We've got some. I think that's the end of it. We got it for time, or I think we're there, aren't we? We're there just about. So thanks a lot for joining us on stage, Brian.
That was great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Cheers.
So Total Star Wars, the Palitoy Saga. I'm really excited for this, and we are planning a follow-up interview with Brian around the time of the Kickstarter launch, so keep an eye out for that. Next up we have Christian from GW. Now Christian in this interview does share a discount code for the audience in attendance. I've checked the code and it is still active on the GW website, so I have bleeped the code out. So apologies for the bleeps, but they're only a handful. Enjoy.
Christian, everyone.
Thanks, Jess.
I want to know about, because there's so much more to you than just GW Acrylic, but for the time being, how long have you been involved in this business?
Well, I looked this up actually, because my memory's not what it used to be, but the first factory order went in 2009. So it's 15 years that it's been going. Admittedly, started off as a side hustle, got a little bit out of control, became incorporated in 2014, and 10 years. In the 11th year now of being a limited company.
Right, awesome, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, I've been there since 2009, starting to get your original cases for the carded figures. But when you look now, some of the things which are for sale today, some of the things which will be for sale tomorrow, and the fact that it's not just about their looks, it's about preservation, it's just about looking after them, keeping on top of them. You've got some wonderful bits and pieces. What's your largest piece? Is it the shuttle one?
Certainly current stock, yes, the shuttle. But in the past we've done short runs really of I suppose the Razor Crest, the TBC Razor Crest was possibly as voluminous as the shuttle, but to this day the shuttle, maybe the Rebel Transport case as well. But we all love the Rebel Transport, of course. What a design.
Staple of the collection.
Absolutely, the slug.
So I've got a few bits and pieces to see here, because starting off really, really small, something for everyone.
Yeah.
We've got really good pieces to show off, small individual bits and pieces. There's a couple of things which I wanted to drill into a little bit more. I think in a minute we see coming up. Yeah, you've got big ones, tall ones, wide ones, something for everyone. New options. What we're going to do though is look at, you're able to display them with coins now and all sorts. I think over here, big headers. Your imagination seems to know no bounds.
It's just ultimately collector driven. I collect vintage, and which is ultimately where it all started. You know, I needed some cases for my own collection, and there were only 2 places in the world that you could go to. There was a small chap in Mexico, or there was a company in America, and you'd pay more in the shipping and the import duties than you would for the actual cases. Okay. Having worked in international trade, I just put the 2 and 2 together, and that's well, this is the result.
Yeah.
Not the end result, I have to say. We're still going.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, the bandolier case alone is just, one of my favourites, and I'm sure it's one of your favourites. Why are you letting me down, though, with regards to, where I'm going to go now, what I've been asking you to produce for a while, and you're yet to...
Our 3-pack case.
A 3-pack case. Where is that? Hopefully it's in the works.
It's always on the to-do list, Jez.
Excellent. Right, okay. What we're going to do is, I've got a proposition for you, because would you bear with me on this one? So, people are paid to come here tonight for a special sort of intimate gig, right? These bits and pieces are lovely. I've seen, in fact, look at this. This is your Palitoy Death Star. Yeah. How would you class it? This is your semi-globe. What's your working title? What do you call this? Just the dome?
This is the dome display case. Yeah. Right. This is really, it was a passion project.
Okay.
Because as we'll come on to, one of my favourite areas of collecting is early Star Wars pieces. So this sort of married the 2 up really nicely. And there's a surprising amount of mathematics involved in actually producing that case due to Bob's original design not being a perfect half sphere.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
These pieces, is this quite a new one out this last year or so?
Yeah.
So you're now able to add people's accessories or figures' accessories to the cases, and you're doing these as separate accessory sort of glue-on bits, is that right?
These are kits, effectively. You can either buy each individual component and add them to existing cases that you may or may not have, or you can go onto the website and actually buy a character-specific kit. So, for example, as you showed there, the IG-88, it will come with a laser cut holder for each of its accessories, obviously the long rifle and the Imperial blaster. It will have restraining tubes for the shoulders, for the legs, the actual case itself as well, all of which are produced out of museum grade UV acrylic.
This is fantastic. You know how to make a I love it. My point is with this, I mean, now already you've got people saying, yeah, I'm interested in a little bit of that, I'm interested in a little bit of this for my vintage collection, I'm interested in a little bit of this for my box. There's something for everyone. But what we want to be able to do, because people have bought a ticket and they've come here, can we come up with some sort of special deal, discount for us, for these people tonight?
Ooh. Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So, the way in which we can do this from a secretive point of view is you do codes, don't you, online, like a Black Friday to all these bits.
We could create a checkout code, Jez.
So, that's an amazing idea. So, it's a one use, and this is our challenge. And the challenge is, will you go behind the scenes and put into your computer system whatever code we come up with tonight, whatever the word. That was not set up. I thought that was going to be somewhere completely different. So, I mean, are we happy with? Yeah. Or Farthest. So, can you do your thing in your system? And what special deal can we get?
How about 10% off any order?
10% off any order. That's awesome. And that is thank you very much, Christian. So that's a one-off order, a one-off special offer just for you. Not for people who are here during the day today or tomorrow. That's just for us tonight. And when will that go live? By tomorrow night?
By tomorrow afternoon.
By tomorrow afternoon. Excellent. You heard it here first. System. Brilliant. Right.
Are we going capitals or small caps or?
Small caps.
Just checking.
You're mega.
Yeah, big all large caps.
Yeah, 100%.
There we go.
Right, so for 2 reasons, before we run out of time, before Dave kicks me off stage, I want to talk about a couple of more things, because you started this because you're a collector. You know, you love it, and let's just talk a little bit about some of your collecting, because every now and then you pop up on forums and bits and pieces, just dropping a little nugget of knowledge, and everyone's like, he knows more than he's letting on. So I want to take you back to all the early stuff. Now, why have you got this for me then?
This is one of my most treasured items, because this is where it all started. So this is unused early bird coupon.
Yep.
Now, these were issued within the early bird certificate, and as you would imagine, most of those were ripped open, filled out, sent back into headquarters in Cincinnati, and God knows how many weeks you had to wait, and then you received the first 4 figures.
Yeah.
And this is how you receive them within the early bird set itself. Bag figures, bag pegs, a coupon for the display stand, and a little mini catalogue in a white mailer box. Obviously nowadays these are pretty difficult to find, complete, unused.
And you've got one.
Rather pristine. Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
And how do you display it?
In a box, really, in the cupboard.
Common sense. Okay, all right then.
As you can see, I can take the picture in my kitchen.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Maybe you want to get some nice acrylic. Maybe put. Treat yourself at Christmas. So what we've got going on here then? I can see what this is.
Yeah. So this follows on really for my passion for early pieces, and this is pre-production. This is an early example of a DT Sabre. You can see that it's actually shot in translucent yellow plastic, and even still has flashing from the mould left on the. It's actually on the outer Sabre, but it looks like it's on the inner Sabre there.
Early pre-production, double telescopic Sabre. Right, okay.
It is, yeah. So that's that's a nice piece as well.
In a box on the bed.
Probably near the early bird set, yeah.
Yeah. All right, fine. What about this then? Right, so no choking.
Yeah, this is probably the most expensive inch of plastic that's known to man at the moment. That is an original 4-sided rocket firing rocket. Sadly, I don't have the actual figure, which would have been an L slot that went with this.
Yep.
Because the as we know, the J slot that followed the L slot was the 8-sided rocket. So that is again something that I've owned for a long time, because there's absolutely no way I would be able to procure something like that these days.
So how did you get this back in the day? Is this just knowing people on the scene, or just room sales at celebrations?
Yeah, no, a gentleman in the States, he, as was often done back in the late 90s and early 2000s, contacted a former Kenner engineer who just so happened to have a bag of these in his desk drawer. And a few of them were released onto the secondary market, and I was fortunate enough to pick up one.
Wow, nice. And that's not going anywhere, is it?
No.
In a box on your bed, right? Okay, we've
in
got
a
it.
box. Yeah.
And this one then.
Well, this one, I only included this image because this is one of my sort of like dearest memories, let's say, from childhood collecting. We all did it, cut out the name tags and nameplates and send them back to Palitoy, and every time the postman came, you go, "Oh, where's my Rancor people? Or where's my Emperor?" Did we get the Anakin in the UK? I can't remember, but so yeah,
just nostalgia.
Whatever it was, 8 to 14 weeks or something that they put on the. I can't read it on the adverts. It seemed like 8 to 14 years waiting for it to turn up. Mm-hmm. But I remember the morning that it did, and the box. I can guarantee you that's not the original one. The box didn't survive like that. So, and obviously it's in a case that I've produced to hold those mailings.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a great way of doing it, because sometimes just some of these white boxes alone just a little bit dull, aren't they? But what you've done
for sure,
is brilliant. Yeah. Okay. So Jedi bits and pieces, which leads me on to a couple other things, because I've spoken to you about these in the past when you've helped me out. So what's your fascination with these? Because if I knew about this, I'd be on the phone to you. Talk for the people who aren't necessarily aware of what these are.
Well, my father was Italian, and I've got a large family over there in southern Italy. So consequently, a large part of my collection is focused on Italian issue pieces, of which there's not that great many of, both in production numbers and actual range as well. So this is a 4-pack header card. And that clearly shows how they were put together with just one piece of, I think it's like double-sided tape that was on the inside of the cards. But there are 4 known combinations out there that were released. I mean, they're produced by Palitoy for the Italian market. They also did similar for the German market. But what you see here is a mix of tri-logo cards and, bizarrely, Kenner, and they're 77A cards. So you see, nice tri-logo ERG there. We all know that you like that one, Jess.
Yep. This is the 4-pack I have. Yeah. Lovely.
You do a case for this one,
I do a case for, yes, you're right.
Because you've got one, yeah?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah, if you're fortunate enough to own one, I have to say, it's not one of the best sellers. I do have a few in stock from the original run that was produced. But,
so these things are special. I mean, there's not that many. They command a heavy price, but I've never seen one of these before with that little green sticker top left.
Well, no, you probably wouldn't have done, because that's the only one that there is. And to date, that is the only piece of Italian issued pre-production existing.
Yeah, so this is a QC, quality control
sign-off sample, which would have been sent back from the factory in the Far East back to Palitoy in order for them to confirm that that is what they wanted the factory to produce and release. Interesting, on there though, you can see the date.
Yep.
April 85. So we was talking about 2 years after Jedi was released, which kind of plays into the same sort of understanding of the 4-packs, that were they used to move old stock?
Yeah.
And so many of them ended up in discount bins, hence the condition that you see them in.
Brilliant. Okay. As we finish off with Jedi then, I'm just going to finish with these little speeder bikes, because everyone can remember the toys, everyone can remember the adverts, but why this one for you?
Essentially, I'm a Jedi child. You know, I remember being in the kitchen with 2 speeder bikes going around the legs of tables, etc., just like the advert, trying to copy that. But you see here on the right hand side, this is what's known, well, in collector terms, as a first shot. So it was actually assembled from a large parts find in, I think it was around about 2004, 2005, and a number of complete bikes were created as such from bags and bags of first shot parts that were found by a bit of a TV celebrity nowadays in the States, Jordan Hembrow. And managed to acquire one, not directly from Jordan, but from the chap that bought one from Jordan. But there are no serial numbers on any of those parts, and some of the parts are also fairly rough in appearance, which kind of goes to show that they were early moulds, shot from early moulds. So unpainted, different colours, no part numbers, no COO.
Right. Okay.
It's a prized piece in my collection.
Yep. So no country of origin, no markings of such. So for vintage junkies, like a lot of us are, something like this, absolute prized possession.
Yeah.
Good for you,
for sure,
mate. This is awesome. Thank you ever so much for letting us into a little insight into GW Acrylic. 15 years is outstanding. I don't know many people who don't have some of your items in their collection to enhance their collection. Thank you for allowing us to get. It's really, really quite special. and for giving us an insight into your collection, because I know up until this stage you've been fairly private about what you've had, you know, from a public point of view. So really, really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for being generous.
We had a little bit at the end, didn't we? A special bit. Go on, just tell everyone what that's all about.
Well, yeah, so as you can see, it's widely known that there are 5 of these they're known as Yoo-Hoo Ewoks. Again, produced by Palitoy for distribution in Italy. And you can see that they even had to try and persuade children to buy them by including the glue sticks. I have seen a picture of a rhomba on this card. Whether or not it's real, I don't know, but it's only once that I've ever seen it. But yeah, the reason that the picture of me with a silly mask on picking up the Warwick is that not only did it cost me a small fortune, but it also nearly cost me my life by travelling over to Amsterdam to meet a Dutch collector to buy it and catching COVID on the plane on the way over. So I'm not sure if I like it, but I needed it. And I'm sure that many of you can attest to that sort of situation.
Thank you, Christian.
Pleasure.
What a great guy Christian is. So nice to hear him finally talk about his collection. Definitely someone else we need to get back on the show for a full interview. We're going to close out now with a final interview, but before we get to that, I just want to remind everyone to sign up to our Facebook and Instagram pages. Just search Generation Skywalker on those platforms to find us for all the latest and greatest Generation Skywalker news. And if you want to get involved with the show and speak to the hosts and other listeners, sign up to our Facebook group, We Are Generation Skywalker. And if you want to help us out, drop us a 5-star review on iTunes. It really does go a long way to help move us up the podcast listings and make it easier for others to find us. And thanks again to Dave Tree for putting on Farthest From in the first place, and to all of the guests we interviewed. So here it is, our final interview with Steve Evans, who provides us a peek behind the curtain of what goes into developing products at Hasbro and shares some fantastic tales, including working with the man that designed the original Millennium Falcon at Kenner, Mark Boudreaux. But until next time, enjoy the interview. We are Generation Skywalker, all eras, all passions, all Star Wars.
Our final guest tonight, it's almost Steve Evans. Now Steve is British and massive toy fan. Now, I've got this information from Peep. Yeah, let's sit down. Sorry Steve, sorry. Now, is it true you moved to the States because you landed your dream job? Or did you go there for another reason?
It was to get my dream job.
To get your dream job.
Yeah,
So
I was working at Hasbro for about 10 years and I got an opportunity. I thought, that's where everything's going to happen.
Right, okay. So we'll get on to that in a minute then. So, 35 years collecting, which I want to talk about, because your collection's quite eclectic. Well, I've seen on YouTube, a bit of everything.
I don't know what I want. I want it all, but I can't get it all. So yes, pick and choose.
And 25 years working in the toy industry.
Yeah.
And you've worked on some brilliant licenses. Transformers, Rescue Bots, app development, Angry Birds. I mean, there's a couple of big
Anyone remember Angry Birds?
Nerf, My Little Ponies. That's probably why you're
Yes. My Little Pony.
Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
But Marvel and of course Star Wars. So, your job title in Hasbro Senior Product Design Director.
Yes.
Yeah, you're doing well.
You're doing really well. That is research.
Yeah.
God,
And
professional.
so when you're doing a job like that, how difficult is it to separate being a fan with doing that job,
It is very difficult because half of it is being a fan and knowing it and loving it and living it, but the other half, when I get the job, so if everyone goes, I'd love to work at Hasbro, I'm a massive Star Wars fan, massive collector. When you get the other side of the fence, you got to make the product. You got to make profit. You got to make decisions. And I think that's the biggest thing. You have to make choices and make decisions, and you'd like to do it all, but that's not how things
If you ever had a product that you're desperate as a fan to make, but it's literally not viable.
Yes. It will be viable. That's why I do it. That's why I do it.
That's why you're the director.
Like when I came in, I wanted. When I was a kid, I used to have a snow trooper that was really loose limbed. So when I put him on top of the fridge, and he would just gently go and fall, and that was my favourite figure because he could fall really well. So when I got the job on Star Wars on my first round in 2014, I was like, I want a stormtrooper that falls and does the Wilhelm scream, and everyone was like, what? But I kept plugging away. We made some prototypes and we sold it. The poorly named Interact-Tech Trooper was one of my boyhood dreams, making a stormtrooper that you could drop out of a tree or out of the window and it'd scream. So I get there each and every time eventually. So the one thing I want to make, we will get there. Interview me in 2 years' time.
Okay. So you probably have what is considered by many, especially collectors and toy buyers, to be a dream job. Is it a dream job?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a simple person. It was like, I was a Star Wars kid from the ages of 5 when I saw it in Man's Chinese Theatre on holiday to about probably when I was 13. So it was my thing. I was a Star Wars kid. And as I started drawing and doing artwork and being a graphic designer, I always wanted to work either in the toy industry with Star Wars or in the movies in Star Wars or something like that. So when I had been at Hasbro for a number of years, and it was 2013, end of 2013, and my boss, John Rial, as it was then, he came in and he said, "Listen, we've got a new trilogy, it's a new trilogy, and I'd like you to. Do you fancy running Star Wars? Do you fancy it?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I know nothing about plastic. Like I knew nothing." I said, "I know nothing. I love it. I love storytelling. I know what collecting means, but I don't know how to make it." And he was like, "It's okay. You're going to be surrounded by people that knows how to do it." So that was a dream job. And I felt a little bit of an imposter, if I'm honest, because I was going into a team with people that had been working on it for years. Mark Boudreaux was on the team, and he'd worked on he did the original Millennium Falcon, which was my, one of the greatest toys ever made. And I was joining the team with him, and it's intimidating, but that's what makes dreams worth it. You've got to go in. So yeah.
So any advice for anyone who wants to follow that dream? And
yeah, 2 things. One, just get in. A lot of people ask me, how do I get to be toy designer in Hasbro? I say on Star Wars, and I'll be like, just get into Hasbro. Just get in. Don't go for the job you really want. Just get in and then work around it, work your way. Like it took me 12 years to get to what I wanted. But it's that one, and then the other one, I think you kind of hinted on it. It's like, don't be too much of a fan. I have a lot of interview with people where they go, "I know everything about Star Wars. I can tell you this, that. I collect everything. I love it. I adore it." And I was like, "You're going to have a disappointing time then, because as soon as you come over, you have to make those choices. You can't do everything. You have to." So, being a fan is great. Don't be too much of a fan, and just get in and work your way up.
Get busy.
Yeah,
be useful.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about two or three different things. We're going to go on to the vintage collection in a minute, because I know that you had a massive role in bringing that back. But obviously, also the retro collection. I know you can't say anything, but you've got a big announcement tomorrow. What the newest retro collection is. So which 6 figures? How easy is it to choose the 6 figures from Andor?
Really easy, because none of them are going to sell.
Yeah. So the vintage collection came back in 2019, and 18 was it?
Yeah.
What made you want to bring that back? I get it from the nostalgia point of view from the car.
Yeah, it was. So when I came on the team, the vintage collection, the Saga and all the things that the predecessors to that kind of super articulated 23/4 inch. It was when I came on the team in 2014 at the beginning. It was still part of the Black Series. We merged it into that one brand, which made sense in terms of brand organisation. But I remember just coming in and it was like, there was a lot of sentiment out there, and it was clearly a demand for it. And I was like, it's the packaging is as much as the figure in some ways. And it was like, we can't ignore that nostalgia. And with knowing that the 40th anniversary of New Hope was coming up, and we did that for Black Series, and it was like, we should bring it back. I think we'd get a really good fanfare of bringing that back. The figures are the same. We were working on some new technology with photoreal and things like that, but just to bring them back on the cards and relaunch it with the new sequel trilogy, I thought was just a really good moment to do that. So that was important, and those cards can't be beaten. Like I've worked with loads and loads and loads of great graphic designers. You can't beat it.
How do you go about choosing which characters? Because once upon a time we used to get loads of background characters, but it's so Disney on the market.
It's a lot of characters to choose from. All I know is that I'll never choose all the right characters all the right time. But I'm hoping that everyone that's involved in it is going to be involved in it for the rest of their lives until we end up in our boxes. But it's tricky. It's a balance of supporting the entertainment that's currently out there, because we're good partners and we should be doing that, mixed with the classics, mixed with redos of ones that need updating, and then we always leave a couple of, a good number of spare, I call them left fielders, just things like, what? Where did that come from? So it's a mix. I do that on Marvel. We do that on Marvel as well. We kind of, it's not science, but it's certainly an art.
Jez was asking me earlier to ask you. He collects one of each card front for the vintage collection. He is desperate for a Power of the Force. That's not the yak face. Is there with a coin? So are you going to release something soon for him?
I can't tell you about it.
I tried.
These questions that we didn't agree to.
They're not my name. So this is sort of a four-tiered kind of question, and it's something we could probably debate till sort of 3 a.m. if we wanted to. But you changed my mind as well straight away earlier when we talked about it. But if there's perfect toy from the vintage era in the Star Wars offering, and in the sort of non-Star Wars world, and then the perfect toy in a modern era in Star Wars and not in Star Wars.
Wow, that's very subjective, very subjective. I'm sure every single one out there has their own answers to that. For me personally, I think the Millennium Falcon, the original Millennium Falcon, is Falcon. I can say Falcon. If you understand what I'm saying, American Falcon. Brilliant. The Millennium Falcon, I think, is a great toy. It's one of the best toys, and it's one specifically that I remember very, very fondly, and I think it's just a combination of this ability to have a spaceship that is A, iconic, B, I'll hold it, fly it around, and then C, I can land it, D, then I can get my figures and play inside it. It's a play set with a ship. It's a play, we call them play ships. I'm obsessed with play ships, and I kind of want to do more about that. So I think that was the biggest vintage one for me, and getting to work with Mark on the team. I remember sitting at a table, when I joined the team, Mark was a legend. We all knew who Mark was, and everyone knows who Mark was. And I think he's the only person that's actually been actively involved in every single movie. I don't even think Anthony Daniels has been in every single movie. So Mark's been involved with every single Star Wars movie until he passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately. So Force Awakens came out, and it was like, the Falcon's coming back. So I just joined the team, and I went and sat with Mark. And if you know Mark, he's a very gentle person, but he's quite curmudgeon-y. He's a bit sort of, and I sat with him. It was the first time I really sat with him when we were going to design. I said, let's meet and talk about the new Falcon for Force Awakens. And he was essentially, who are you? Like, okay, all right, okay, well, I'm Steve. And he was really wasn't into it. And I said, let's talk about the Falcon. So we had his Falcon, the Kenner Falcon, we had the BMF, we had all these other bits and pieces. And I said, what can we do for the Falcon for Force Awakens that's different? And we talked about kids, how they played it. I criticised him that the only thing I don't like about the original Falcon is the handle, the gear, the landing strip that the kids are meant to hold like that. At least I used to, but it's too heavy, it breaks your wrist. I said, the kids have got to fly like that. It's holding it like a pizza box, and all the buttons have got to be there. It's got to be easy for kids to play. And we kind of spent, it was about 2-3 hours just designing, like, do we put a Nerf blaster in? Do we not put a Nerf blaster? How do we make it different? And at the end of it, he was like, it was almost like one of those movies where he kind of went, "You're all right, you." And he was like, "Okay, I get it. You don't know stuff about product, but you love the story and you care about it." So the Falcon has this incredible memory for me. modern times, it's another Mark one, and you may not agree with this, but this is very personal, and it probably didn't sell very well, but it was the Walking AT ACT from Rogue One. We sat down, it's like Mark and I would have these meetings around the table, like, let's meet at the table. So he came, and I was like, there's an AT, an ACT in Rogue One. He was like, oh, fantastic. I said, well, what are we going to do? How is it going to be different? I said, we've done the big one, we've done the Kennedy, the smaller one, and I said to him, you know what would be really good, Mark? We should make it walk. And he looked at me as if I was a complete idiot, which I was. He was like, its legs are too skinny. It can't walk. It physically can't walk. It's not built. It's not real, Steve. It's not a real thing. It's too top heavy, and if you start lifting feet up, it's going to go. You can't walk. It's impossible. I was like, yeah, but it'd be really good if it did walk, wouldn't it, Mark? And so we got another guy, Chris Whipple, who was a genius, or is a genius, animatronics robotics guy. And we said, right, we need you to work out the perfect size with the perfect proportions, or as perfect as you get, with the robotics, with the costing, and find the right size, scale, motor, tension, all that kind of stuff to make it walk. And he worked it out, and I said, right, let's get an app, let's make it controllable. Let's stick a Nerf blaster in it, and we kept adding stuff into it. And it got ridiculous, because everyone was just like, it can't walk. And I remember showing it to Brian Golden, the CEO, and we had this big room, and we had this app, we explained it, came out, and we made play sets, and everyone was like, that's really cool. And I was like, you know what would be better, Mark? If it walked. I pulled out my phone, and we just started walking, and everyone was like, oh my God. But it was £300. It was $300. It was like crazy price, and yeah, it was too expensive. But that was, from a modern toy, just being able to make that kind of imagination come alive and make real was a real success.
Incredible.
Yeah, I love that. I love that vehicle. Yeah,
so what about other toy lines? Because I've seen your
other toy lines.
Instagram. You open Marvel. I've seen Jurassic Park in there. There's Ghostbusters.
Lego's the best toy ever made, bar none, in my opinion. Right. Like the best toy thing ever. Modern toys. God, I have a lot of respect for Turtles from like 2012. A lot of that sort of stuff. They use a lot of inventors, and they get really great mechanisms in and things like that. I think that's where I'd be.
And what's in the pipeline like that? What's, is it elephant skeleton crew for retro tomorrow?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Yeah. So what? You obviously worked like 24 years deep in the industry. You worked on a lot of projects, and I guess just working with Mark Boudreaux is an amazing achievement in itself. What would you say is the project or toy that you're most proud of being involved in?
It changes. I mean, it's for a long time. It's definitely been the barge, definitely been Haslabbing, and just the story behind that of like me and Jonah Navaji, who was the marketing director, just sitting in. He had this stupid. Actually, it wasn't much bigger than this. He had a really kind of fancy office. He had a really stupid table. It's really small, and we sit around this stupid little table, and we were just laughing about the sort of urban myth of like, well, they'll never do the barge. Like, we'll never do the barge. It's too big. No retailer's really going to take it. It's going to sit on the shelf. It's massive. It's going to go into clearance. It's just like, yeah, but we've got to make it. Everyone talks about it, and it'd be really good because I got to this play ship again. I went back to that. I said, you can display all your figures on it. It's a shelf, essentially. And I said it's shelvable. It's the way it's proportioned, it is perfect for putting on a shelf. And they were like, how do we do it? What do we do? And it was just like, why don't we kickstart it? We'll just crowdfund it. And we kind of giggled. And it was like, yeah, you can imagine like a multi-billion-dollar company kind of doing that. And then we were sort of like, well, what if we did? Like, it's the only way we're going to do it. Why don't we find out? So we went and found some people that knew a little bit about that kind of crowdfunding, went to legal and all the different places, and just bounced around, and we pitched it, and people sort of went, what? And in the end, we said, I think it can actually work. If you do it like this, we can do it. And we did it, and it was very emotional announcing it at Toy Fair in February. That was a good day. And then coming down into the showroom, we had the grey model, just 3D printed, and like people were crying, like guys are coming up to me crying and like hugging and going, oh my God, I can't believe it. And it spiked really quickly. We got like 1,500 backers in the first sort of hour or two. And we were like, this is it. This is great. We got it. Oh wow. And then it just went, and just stood there for like right to the end. I think it was like the last week, the last 4 days. It just then, but that's the pattern for crowdfunding. It's always whoop, and then up. So that was a real roller coaster. But like when we did it, we were so happy, and it was I love that. But I'll beat that in a few years, I'm sure. I'll have something else.
Was you aware that a couple of days after the Razor Crest closed, they were going to blow it up? No.
There are lots of things, and I've spoken about like Luke Skywalker in Force Awakens. Like I didn't see that until everyone else saw it. I saw it in the cinema with everyone else.
Yeah.
We'll
make sure we shut it off here.
There are some things. There are some things we don't get, and you've got to respect that. They want to tell a story, and they should do. They have the right to. So it's sometimes we don't get to see things, which is totally fine. It just comes with it.
Yeah. Well, you're a great guest to have. So should we just take a couple of questions from the floor? Yeah. Anybody got a question?
What's the one thing you regret most saying no to on any toy line? If somebody came to you with an idea or even a model and you had to say, we can't do that?
Oh my Lord. What have I turned down that someone's come and said we could do that? That's a really difficult question. I don't have an answer straight in my brain. I've got to think about that. There's one I can't talk about, but there's lots I can't talk about. We have a lot of relationships with inventors, and they come with stuff, and some of the stuff is like, wow, like what? But then you often find that like, it's often this country actually. It's often like they go to the UK. The UK regulations are quite stringent, and you go, actually, you know what? We can't do it. I don't have a specific example, unfortunately. Sorry, but yeah, the Q&A stuff is it's pretty stringent in a lot of countries.
That's right. We'll wait.
Anyone else?
Can I buy that AT-ACT prototype from you, please?
Dave?
I haven't seen the prototype. We grind all the prototypes up, like most of them. Most of them we do. Have to.
Is there an ETA on the vintage collection Constable Zuvio?
Actually, the answer to your question is probably a Constable Zuvio. It's probably me saying it, then me saying, no, I can't. One day. There's no reason why one day that wouldn't actually work in some way. So no ETA.
It might work.
Well, your version of working might be different to my version of working. I know at least 3 people that would buy it. Me, you, and him. But I don't know. He keeps getting teased. He keeps getting teased in things. Who knows? It'll come. It'll happen, I'm sure, when the time is right.
So, talking of teas, have you got any teasers for your panel tomorrow?
I'm looking forward to tomorrow, actually. I haven't done a panel for a while. I used to be on all the panels, and somehow I've either missed convention panels or been sick or all that kind of stuff. So like to come here and do it in a town hall in Fordingbridge is actually really cool. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to be sort of giving a little bit of a tour of my collecting journey, and I'm hoping it will be similar-ish to yours, but hopefully it will give you something else, something different to kind of think about. I'm also going to talk about why we collect. I'm deeply fascinated with the psychology of like why we do what we do and the reasons behind that. And then I'm still waiting for some word on whether I can have a little tease of something that's coming out potentially. That's not a promise though. I'm trying. But when I kind of say, hey, I would like to give a reveal in Fordingbridge, they're like, what, where, who, what? And I'm like, trust me, just trust me, it'll be fine. So we'll see. So hopefully
keep a secret.
Yeah, you go on. I know you go on. So I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. Yeah. Looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
It'll be good. Well, Steve, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Coming up and giving us your time tonight. Great to have you on.